This time I got a late model Sony VCR. It was brought to me by a customer who actually wants me to digitize her tapes for her, but she wants to go through her tapes and see what she's got. She's got a couple hundred tapes, doesn't want them all done. Could be TV shows, garbage. So wanted to use the machine, put a tape in it, and it would not eject. So I said, yeah, bring it over. We'll see what it is. Maybe it's a belt. Who knows? Let's take a look at it, and we'll get it working. So here it is. Let's check it out. This time I have a Sony in for repair. This one is SLVN50. I'm told it does not eject correctly, but I'm told it does work. It just does not eject. And I push play, and I indeed do have a picture. Don't need to show you guys it. Take my words for it, it is playing. Eject. It does sound like there's a belt slipping, doesn't it? Ow! Got me. Okay, so this one has obviously there's a slipping belt. So let's see if I got one first of all, and we'll see if we can get this one working. This is a client's machine. Like everybody else, they had it in storage for years. And then they hauled it out because they've got their old tapes that they want to digitize. Actually, they want me to digitize their tapes for them. They just want to go through their tapes and see what's on them before bringing them. She doesn't know what's on the tapes, and wants to make sure that they're not getting tapes of just TV shows because their tapes aren't labeled. So she was going through the tapes, or trying to go through the tapes to see what they had, and this machine wouldn't eject the tape. So I got to pull this unit all apart. I guess the belt's on the bottom on this one. I haven't taken one of these ones apart in a while. Off the front, and it has to unplug from here and back here. There's 4 arrow mark screws to hold the chassis in, and that is it. And then of course you have to unplug the head, the drum, and the preamp for the video head, the audio control head as well, of course. It's not a belt. It's going to be a crack gear on this one. It's going to be a crack gear on that loading motor. Let's examine it and see. Therein lies the problem, right there. So what's happened on here is the plastic gear has shrunk and it's cracked because the plastic shrinks but the metal shaft does not, and it cracks, and now it's slipping. And this is what's used to operate the loading mechanism, including ejecting the tape. So what I need to do is I need to glue this piece onto the motor shaft, and that should make this one functional. I need to remove the motor to repair this. The motor is held in place with this plastic clip. I don't want to damage the clip. should be able to just release the clip and lift the motor out with the gear still attached. I can pop this little clip open. This clip should pop right out if I'm careful. There we go. Okay, got the retaining clip out. Now I should be able to lift out the motor. Just have to pull it back a bit and lift it out. I don't want this gear to slide or anything on the shaft, as it's set at the right distance right now for where it needs to go. Okay, it needs to go to about there. So I'm going to mix up some epoxy and put some epoxy into the hole, and then put this back in place and set it before the epoxy dries. I know someone's going to say, just get a 3D printed. No, I don't 3D print anything, and I don't have a printer. I'm not going to ever get a printer. That part possibly could be 3D printed, but that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to glue it. Glue it in place, and that should keep this machine running longer than it ever needs to run. I don't like these gears either. These ones here, this started out white and it's turning brown, so this gear is another one that could at some point break. But these were you know, a lot of plastic in these machines, and it really needs to only run long enough. The person that owns this machine is just using it to look through all their tapes and then bring me their tapes to archive, and then they'll probably end up giving me the machine once they're done. Because as she put it, once she knows what's on the tapes, decides what she's going to transfer and what she's going to throw out, she'll have no more use for the VCR, and there's a good chance that I will get it, which is how I've gotten a lot of my machines over the years. Is people have just said, here, you know, you're transferring all our tapes, we don't need this machine, do you want it? And I say, sure, I'll take it off your hands and find a new home for it, sell it, or keep it, or whatever. So epoxy really likes to be at kind of room temperature to work best, so I'm just going to get my heat gun out and heat up the tubes a bit. That just speeds up the reaction time once they're mixed together. Much better. When the epoxy flows easier, it mixes easier, and it'll also dry and react and harden faster, and probably harder than when it's freezing cold. So we'll just thoroughly mix this up. We're going to put some into the end of this gear here into the shaft. And then put it onto the motor and set it up. We'll put some more around the end of the shaft here, just to make sure that it's got a good physical connection. And then quickly I'm going to put the motor back into position before it sets up. Quick on this. Set it in, And I put the clip in the back to hold it in place. Like that. That'll hold that motor in place. I'm going to let it set here for a while, get that set up good, and then we'll put the machine back together and give it a test. But it should help this machine substantially. Make sure that these are on tight so I don't have to worry about the stuff leaking out. Okay, we'll give this a few minutes to set up. Put the chassis back in and see if I fixed it. This other belt has lots of torque, so there's no problem with this belt. This one's got plenty of torque. I'm just going to check to see that it's dry. It's been sitting here curing for a few minutes. It'll probably get a little harder when as it sets up more, but it's been sitting here for a few minutes going, and it looks like it's probably ready to go. It shouldn't slip now, I wouldn't think. Let's start to put this unit back together. Of course, I'll do the mode switch while I'm at it here, since the unit's already apart. That doesn't look too bad, actually. I've seen a lot worse. That's actually probably the cleanest mode switch I've seen. I think that one's okay, so we'll just throw this back together. I mean, I guess I could throw some cleaner on it. Wouldn't hurt to put a drop or two of deoxit on it, but that one is not dirty. Not like the last ones I've seen, that's for sure. I'll just put a couple drops to keep it clean. You can tell home position. You'll see there's a cutaway here because this was done by a machine, which lines it up like that. Of course, there's also two arrows over here, which points at the home position. And throw the screws back into it. These are actually quite an easy mechanism to work with. And no loading belt. Remember the Sony that had all the belts on it? There was a Sony model, I forget the model number, but it had a bunch of belts on the thing. It had it probably had four. I think it had 4 large belts. Yeah, those ones were fun. Okay, we'll open up the lid. Pop the mechanism back together. Plug in the controls. All right, let's give it a try. Well, that's weird. I have a perfect picture when I put it in freeze frame. As soon as I go into play, I don't. What's going on? Did I F something up? Maybe. Oh, very interesting. The tape counter is not moving. That means we're not getting a control track. I wonder if one of these connections is broken here. You know what? Looks like that pin came out of the, or it broke. That wire broke. That's where the problem is. If I put that wire back in, I should get a picture, because this is probably the control track. And I do have a picture. Alright, that looks a little better. Okay, just need to solder that wire that popped out of that plug. Let's check all the other features. Reverse search. Play. Forward search. Freeze frame. Yeah, it's working. Okay. Let's fix that connector. The wire that's broken is this white one here. It just pulled out. So we'll put some solder onto the end of the wire first of all. And we'll put some solder onto the top of the plug, onto the pin. Get it to stick. There, that should fix that one. Give it the tug test. Okay, good. It's fixed. Throw the tape back in. I have to get the air compressor here and blow all the sawdust off my bench. I guess dragging too many things around that have sharp screws and stuff sticking out of the bottom. All those professional machines that they've removed the feet from because they had them rack mounted has done a number on my bench. Power that up again. Yeah, the head cleaning foam on this hasn't deteriorated. I'm surprised, but it hasn't deteriorated yet. Interesting. Okay, well, it's working, and there it is. So I may use this tape. You know, I've got this VHS tape of my scenery stuff. This might be the one I use to make some dubs, dub second, third, fourth generation, etc. And we'll do a video at some point comparing different capture devices, but I might use this tape or make one up from something else. Anyway, this was a video I shot in 4K. That's actually time-lapse off video. So I shot it at regular speed, regular 30 frames per second, and then in the editing process I sped it up. So this was actually probably, this was like, I'm thinking it was probably 15 minutes, 15 or 30 minutes of just a static shot. And then it was sped up while I was editing to give me that high speed. And this was also, that was a very, very slow pan that was sped up to about 10 times. I remember shooting this down in California, and I was there on the beach for like an hour just doing this one shot. My wife was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing a time lapse." She said, "How come it takes so long?" I said, "Well, that's why it's called a time lapse. Time literally lapses while you're doing this." I said, "It's boring." It is boring, but the end results look pretty cool. And I've got a couple hard drives full of still images that I shot about 11 years ago, I guess, when I went down to Moab and Canyonlands and Arches, and I did tons and tons of time-lapse photos with a still camera in RAW mode, shooting at 24 megapixels, so that I can actually render out some actual time lapses made from stills. I haven't got to it yet. That'll be a project to work on at some point. Anyway, this one is done. I'll just clean the heads and get this one out of here. These ones always did that, even when they were new. When they unloaded, everyone thought they were going to break, but they don't, except for that gear. A little bit on here, not much. I don't think this machine's seen a lot of use over the years. It looks to be in pretty good shape. It's got metal. You notice metal guides, not plastic. A lot of machines use plastic of this era, but these ones here were metal chassis. Not a lot that goes wrong with these ones. Get the Q-tip here for cleaning the other heads. Lower drum. Alright, this one's all done. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.